I have a feeling that I'm struggling with these days. Because I used to have a very different life. And it may sound a little bit selfish, but I sometimes really miss those times of that perfect feeling. Because back then, when I was just a little kid, I would just go to a friend's house after school, Danny for example, and then when I was there, I would call my mom. Hey mom, can I eat here for lunch? Yeah, of course, honey. And because she could never say no, I was already there. It is amazing how that felt, that truly carefree life. It was fantastic. And sometimes I'm really missing that feeling of a carefree life. Because now I'm stuck with a completely different feeling. I have the feeling that I have to do something. The urge to make sure that I take my responsibility for the life that was given me. A carefree life, and now I have to do something back. I really have the urge to make sure that the impact that I make is positive and helps someone else. Because I can't turn on the news at the moment without coming it up again. Climate change, rising sea levels, wars, loss of biodiversity, and even beer is €3 these days. I mean, these are real problems, big challenges that my generation has to deal with, that I have to deal with, because that's what we hear all the time. And maybe it is because I'm a millennial, but I really want to make a positive impact. And I also really feel that more and more people are doing something about it. And I see it in all sorts of things coming up on LinkedIn, that they are busy again and that they are doing something, that they have come up with solutions that really make an impact. And then I really think, how? How do they do it? Because I also want to contribute. Yeah? But where do you start? Where can I begin making a positive impact? And does it really have an impact? Because it sometimes feels incredibly overwhelming. I feel the responsibility and at the same time I feel powerless. And luckily, I've been working on a way to deal with that feeling. Because I was recently at an SDG Congress. And I was in Oosterhout. And now Oosterhout probably doesn't mean a lot or anything to you guys, because it isn't a really big city on the map of the Netherlands. But the SDGs are probably more familiar to you guys. And they are, of course, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Big goals, ambitious goals. And they are set by the UN in 2015 to provide us, as humanity, a guideline for a better and a more sustainable life together. And it's wonderful, and it's a support for me to contribute to. So I wanted to go to that Congress, and I sat there in a room with more than 200 other people. All of them who are contributing to a better world in some sort of way. And many people who know how to do it. So I sometimes get a little bit jealous about, oh my God, all these people know what they are wanting to do and how they can contribute to that sustainable and better life together. And there comes a man on at the beginning, and the light is slightly dimmed, and I look at a big, friendly giant, and he really takes me on a journey. Close your eyes, everyone, and imagine that you are on the nicest place on earth for you. So in my mind, I'm standing in front of my house in Oosterhout. What would the generation before you say about this place? What do you see? What has changed? And I get a tremendous sense of responsibility. I take responsibility for the situation, for our future. But I also think right away, whoa, this man has really clear for himself what he wants to do. And how can I do that too? I also want to contribute. And I also had to think immediately of a few years ago when I was having a nice drink with friends. You know, when Vince told me about his new job, or Joost telling about moving in together. A friendly evening together, sharing the stories of our life at that moment. And then suddenly, all of a sudden, it's all about Ethereum and Dogecoin. And I had no idea. I only thought, what are they talking about? A little nod, some eye contact with someone else who has no clue about what is going on and wondering how I can join in Bitcoin. I want to know how I can do it, but I don't know why and I don't know how. And I had that feeling again on the Tribune. A lady is asked to the stage and she shared her dream for the Netherlands in 2030 with us. A beautiful natural city with subways underground, where she can reach everything on foot or by bike. And she says in that order, to realize this scenario, we must change our behavior. And I understand what she is saying, but changing behavior, that's not easy. I mean, I've tried to run a marathon before. And in the beginning, I was really doing well. I ran almost 10K after 3 weeks. So I was feeling really happy with myself and immediately bought, of course, some of those good stuff for your feet. You know what I mean? So I went to the Decathlon and then the salesman even asked, what do you want to achieve? So I told him that I wanted to run a marathon. And he said, of course, I have something for you that is perfect. These are fantastic running shoes and this shirt prevents slipping and of course is very natural hydrated for your sweat. So it's the best of the best. Well, that's very nice, but after 3 weeks it rained once. It was not the best day for running. And yes, of course, I thought, can I go a day later, right? So the next day, I was still chilling, lying under the covers, nice and warm. It can wait a day longer. But bottom line, I didn't change my behavior long enough to reach my goal for running a marathon. It was just too hard to persevere. But she, on the stage, had a point. And afterwards, she asked us to talk to each other. Because could you contribute yourself right now? And I'm sitting next to a lady, Monique, very smart woman who works for a municipality. And we were talking about all the possibilities we have that are existing of making a positive impact. There are so many different ways to do it. And you can think of electric cars, vegetarian food, solar panels. But what do they really deliver? Do you feel like you're making an impact? And there are so many choices. Where can I start? And do I have to choose all of them? It's like I'm sitting in a restaurant with Bas. Very good friend of mine, and I was out with him recently And you know, when I order a glass of wine and then we get the menu, and then I am actually already 3 bread baskets further before Bas had been able to make a choice. He has too many options. So I was sitting on that podium as if I had the menu of the Italian restaurant, and I was feeling like, Bas, where do I have to begin with all those different sustainable choices to make an impact? It sometimes feels so overwhelming that I really wonder, how can we achieve those 17 sustainable development goals together? And how can I, as an individual, as a person, Duncan, just someone in their 30s with important decisions about living together, having children, building a career, the price of beer, how can I also make a contribution to a better world? Because, as I said, I've been working on this for a while now, and I think I found a way to deal with this feeling, this overwhelming feeling, and I think I found a way to make sure that everyone here today can make a contribution of their own, to make impact. Because a few weeks after that Congress, I was sitting on the couch reading a book. A friend gave it to me and said, just Duncan, read this book, it will help. And the book is called The Compound Effect. And it has a beautiful subtitle, Jumpstart Your Income and Success. And the book is all about achieving goals. And that triggered me. Because we want to achieve those big global goals together, right? And we want to make a contribution. We want to achieve sustainable success. So can't I learn from personal success methods? And can I use those personal success methods to achieve those goals? Because we have so many ways to reach our personal and own goals. There are 800,000 business coaches and personal life coaches in the Netherlands alone. Those methods are already there. Can we use them to create a bigger and positive impact for a better life together? Can we use them, those methods, to reach those 17 sustainable development goals? And this book describes a very simple method. So, pay attention. You make a small step, you do it consistently, and you repeat it over a long period of time. You make a small step, you do it consistently, and you repeat it for a long period of time. And it sounds really simple to me, but that's also the strength. And it works! Because when I read the book, I naturally thought, when this method worked for me before. And to be honest, this method is the reason that I am standing here on this TEDx stage tonight. Because a year ago I started my own business again, and I just had worked for a beautiful company for a couple of months, and it was time to start working for myself again. And now, as a product manager and concept developer, I help companies, but I also wanted to do something with this message. I wanted to do something with speaking. So I was having coffee with my former colleague and now business coach, and she asked me, Duncan, what are you going to do then? What is your goal of starting your business again? And I told her I want to do more with speaking and help companies with concept development in sustainable business. And she said, that's great, but how are you going to do that? And I said, yeah, well, of course, I think I make a video after the summer vacation and then I tell them that I want to be a speaker. But why don't you make that video just this week? That's what she said. And then she had me. So I recorded that video and I posted it on LinkedIn the next day. And that's how I got there. Because more than 20,000 people have seen that video. And after multiple stages, talking with a speaker coach, collaboration with an agency, I am standing here right now. One video, one small step that got me here. So the method really works. So I think, why don't we use all those success methods and we use them for global goals, for making a sustainable, creating impact. And we use it for each other and not only for ourselves. And consistently repeating that small step is a change in behavior. And I shouldn't have bought those running shoes, expensive running shoes, to start running in the beginning. What I should have done was started running for 5 minutes every day with the shoes that I already had. Small step, 5 minutes, running around the house. And the day after, I do it again. And the day after, I run 10 minutes. And a week or two later, I run 15 minutes. Until I reach my goal of running the marathon. Because over a long period of time, we will also see the impact that we are making. And then I will feel that I've made a contribution. I have to be patient, but making sure that I make those small steps every time again and again. And I already see that with a small step too, for example, it works. I give another example. It's my last birthday. I turned 30 and I used to be a bit more of an egoist. Yeah, I would ask things like DJ courses, turntables, speakers. But this year I asked everyone a small donation. Because for me personally, one of the goals I want to contribute to is nature. I think it's incredibly important to persevere and restore biodiversity. And I've always been passionate about nature and I want to make it possible for everyone to experience the beautiful things that I have seen around the world. I want everyone to be able to go on a trip to Costa Rica and the rainforest. Or maybe visit South Africa. So I think it needs to be protected and we should let it grow. And that's why I asked everyone $2.50 $2.50 for 1 square meter of protecting rainforest in Costa Rica this year. And thanks to the compound effect, a really small step, $2.50, but a lot of them, we are now protecting more than 200 square meters after just one birthday. Imagine what we are protecting if I do this till I'm 60. I'm going to do this a lot more. Over a long period of time, we will protect a huge area. And you can do that too. For another example, Bojan Slat. Everyone probably knows Bojan Slat. He didn't start his mission to clean up the plastic soup immediately with 100 million. No. He first wrote a thesis. And then he made a prototype. And only then he received millions in investments to actually make it happen. He is making a difference. But he also started with a very small step. With an idea and a goal. And a pen and paper. And this helps me a lot to deal with the feeling that I am overwhelmed. And that I don't know where I can contribute to or how I can get started. It just takes a small step. Every time. And you can make those steps too. So today I will invite you. Stand up for a moment. Speak to each other at the break or during the ball at the end. And that's already a first small step. And now tell your neighbor what's bothering you the most. What hits you the most when you're watching the news, reading a newspaper or open up your telephone? And what do you think is a really important problem that you want to do something about? And then ask him or her what small step he or she can make to contribute to that. Because that's how it can be done. And why not?